climbing over her tears to get the lesson. And based on the work she's done on this campus and off over the last year, can't believe it's only been a year, I'd love to bring to you with the appropriate name to teach you getting confident, Miss Anastasia, aka Star!
I appreciate you so much for that welcome, because quite frankly, I was incredibly nervous to come out here in this space and share with you as I'm about to. The truth of the matter is that I've been on stages since I was about 4 years old. Much like Matt, I wouldn't shut up in my classes, hey Matt? And so my teachers used that to put me on stages right away. I've had the privilege in my short but impactful life to speak to audiences in Egypt, to meet with heads of governments in Uganda, and of course to talk every day in the Bahamas by getting up and saying, good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise. I'm Anastasia Kalicious. And yet today, coming out here, I was a little sad, because the truth of the matter is, for many years, I would share these moments with two very special people, my mom and my dad. Every single time I would come on stage, I would call my dad just before I got on. It was something about his voice that just calmed me. When he would say, baby doll, I knew I would be okay. But in July 21st, 2011, something happened. I had just come home from college maybe a month before. So I was fresh out of college and fresh out of cash. Anybody ever been fresh out of cash? And I was at a summer job. They were paying me $150 a week. My sister and I had just gotten an apartment together, and the bills were due. I just gone to pay my first bill. And I remember just feeling so devastated, like I will never have money. How will I do this? And so I called my mom, and I called her. I was in the bathroom stall. It was a government building, so the floors were pink and starting to peel, and the stench was real, but this was the only safe space I could go into to make this kind of call. And I called her, and the tears are flowing. Not Niagara Falls flowing, but you know the little ones that you get it speaking right, but somebody touches a button. And I called her and I said, Mommy, I can't do this. I need to come home. I'm not sure all of children coming home, right? Because they can't make it on their own. No. And she said to me in a very calm voice, she said, oh, baby, you'll be okay. She said, I cannot talk now because your dad just called me. He's at the hospital and he wants me to come and meet him. I mean, immediately, every tear stopped flowing because this was serious. I said, what? Daddy's at the hospital? Now, how many men in here don't go to doctors? Let's be honest. So my dad was one of those men. He just, so he's at the hospital, something is wrong. I wiped those tears up so fast, y'all, and I was like alert. And I said, Mommy, call me right back. As soon as you get there, let me know what's happening. Because all of a sudden, money doesn't matter, right? And this is something serious. 5 minutes pass. I'm waiting on this call. My mom calls back, and she says, Star, I can't talk. Just got here. Your dad is on the floor. They're working to resuscitate him. Hands up the phone. Y'all, I don't remember much of what happened in the next 2 hours. I had to get on a plane. I'm from the Bahamas, and I had to move from one island to the next where my parents live. But I do remember at one point just laying flat on the ground and just crying out to God, God, please save my daddy. We get to Grand Bahama, which is the island where I'm from. Somebody picks us up at the airport, and the entire ride, my sister and I are together, and the ride is just silent. Nobody says anything. We go into a part of the hospital I've never been in before. And I should have known something was wrong, because this lady who was not my mom's friend was there. If somebody ain't your friend and they're there, you know she's bad. And as I walk into this room, I see my mom, at least what's left of my mom. Because for the first time, I understood the meaning of the two shall become one. My mom looked emaciated. Her body was caved in, bones were sticking out of her face, and literally, it looked like a part of her soul was gone. And all she could do was look up at my sister and I and say, 3 words that means I will never call my dad before I come on stage again. Star, your daddy is gone. Y'all, I wouldn't have been able to tell this story if I hadn't come to this campus and I've been doing the work I've been doing in the last year in personal development. So know that me sharing this with you shows I come a really long way. But I'm sharing this story with you because every time I come on stage, sometimes late at night when there are no stages around, sometimes when I'm playing with my daughter or I'm making a decision, there is one voice and one voice only that I want to hear. And I don't just want to hear it, I want to feel it. I want to see him moving again. But my dad was one of those old school cool cats. Wasn't a big fan of technology, like that. And so I have no voice recordings, I've got no videos. And so even though his pictures are all around our home and I can see that brilliant smile against that beautiful ebony skin, it is not the same as a moving picture that I want to hold on to when I really want his arms around me. I'm sharing this with you today because there are future generations that need to see you on video. They need to hear your message when you are no longer around. My daughter will never have the benefit of knowing her grandfather's voice. And if I had known then what I know now about the power of video to transform lives, the fact that 500 million videos are consumed each day, the fact that video changes just the way that people share and sell and buy, and more importantly, video that you live on. My daddy would have had a video every 5 seconds. I can't do that for him, so I paid him this tribute by telling you his story now. I don't remember what happened when we left the hospital, but I do remember that a nurse gave me an envelope, and in it were some things that belonged to my dad. There was a watch. I'm wearing it today. It doesn't match my outfit, I know, but I had to do it for him. So this is my father's watch that he was wearing with his dad. He had a chain in there as well. He had a cell phone in there. He had his glasses, and he had his wallet. And those things are important because I want you to use them as a way for us to structure this conversation on what's important for you to get confident. Everybody say confident. Everybody say confident. And confident is just a terminology I'm using to say I want you to get confident with being on camera because your voice and your story has to live on beyond you. Amen? Awesome stuff. So let's get into it. So whenever I look at this watch, I think about the fact that our time is limited. So our time is limited, like my father's. He was 58 the day he died. Woke up, had breakfast with my mom, everything was okay. And then by 12 o'clock, he was just not here. We can't measure our days. We don't know how long we have, but in the moment, we can make something count. And we can make that count on camera. But even when we get on camera, much like a speaking right, you've got a limited time of how much time you have to engage. When I host my television show, each of the segments that we host are only 5 to 7 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes, that's all you've got. In certain settings, when we have roundtables, those can be even more limited because you're sharing that time with someone else. It is incredibly important for you, whether you are interviewing someone, you are the interviewee, or you are recording content for YouTube or Facebook, to recognize the importance of your time. You have a limited window to capture people's attention and to get the message out there. So it is critical that you always do these things. Who, what, when, where, how, and the biggest thing that we always say on this campus, why. The why is always going to be the thing that connects you to your audience. Now this can matter, this moves about in any way. So think about this conference. If I say, what is it? And I'm interviewing Lisa, and I'll say, oh, this is Lisa Nichols. So we said who she is. What are you doing? I'm having a conference called Speak and Write. Well, when is it? It's November 2nd. Where will it be? It'll be in California. How can I get there? She will give me details on how to sign up. Why are you doing this? And that's when she says to me, because I was just like you, Star. I remember when I had talent and nowhere to put it. when I wanted to reach lives and impact lives, but I was broke. And people that come to this conference will experience a soul-shifting change. And all that took less than 3 minutes. So whatever you do, remember, my time is limited. I've got to cover who, what, when, where, how, and most importantly, why. The next thing my dad had in his little envelope that they gave me of him was a chain. My daddy had swagger on. Everybody say swagger. Daddy had swagger. And his chain, honestly and truly, it's one of the few things we gave him that he could actually use. You know, kids go with fathers on Father's Day. They normally get a tie, some cologne, or in this case, a chain. So he had this chain, and the chain reminds me of the fact that you have to be dressed appropriately for camera. So today, I'm wearing a dress. Most people might be cautious when wearing dresses and going on camera, depending on the type of mic that you're going to use. I, for example, had to make sure that my bra looked as beautiful as my dress, because my mic is tucked back there. You want to make sure that you're wearing clothing that's appropriate and comfortable, and that's easily maneuvered. For example, if I had to sit down, could I do so in these shoes? I'm not going to try right now, y'all, so just bear with me. Could I do so in a way that's appropriate, where my legs are covered, where my chest is covered? For those of us that have different body types, it's incredibly important that you wear clothing that's going to allow you to maneuver and to move and to do things like a full body sport if you're going to be on camera. You also want to make sure that the setting around you is appropriate so that people can follow and engage whatever it is that you're trying to teach and trying to say. You don't want distractions in the background. Finally, you want to make sure that you dress your mind. Everybody say, dress your mind.
Dress your mind.
Dress your mind.
Dress your mind.
You see, when you want to get confident, you want to make sure that the information you are giving, you actually believe it, that you can actually teach on, that you actually know something about. Now, people don't know this, but I actually became the host of Bahamas at Sunrise because I went on to be interviewed. I went on to be interviewed and I studied. I prepared for the interview. So when it came time for them to ask me questions about a national issue, I had research, y'all. I was ready. Everybody say ready. Ready. I say ready. Ready. I was ready to go. And so at the end of that interview, because I did it so well, the executive producer of the show came to meet me and asked me whether or not I would consider guest hosting in the future. I guest hosted for 2 years. And can I tell you that in that 2 years, they brought in somebody else twice over me. I remember being frustrated. I remember being angry. And I remember saying to my husband, I don't think I'm ever going to guest host that show again. But a little voice told me that's not the attitude to take. And each of those hosts didn't last any longer than 2 months. And finally, because the third time's the try, it starts. And they called me in to host the show full time. So I've been there for 4 years now, and it's sitting on that show. All because I was prepared back then. Well-dressed, yes, but well-dressed in mind, that I met the incomparable Lisa Nichols. And I find myself standing on this stage today. Preparation matters, so be well-dressed. Always remember the chain. The next thing my dad had in that wallet was a cell phone. Now, I tell y'all, Daddy wasn't tech savvy. He had the phone because work said he had to have the phone. He wouldn't let us text him. We had to call him. And that's fine. We have to communicate with people the way they want to communicate. That's why video is important, y'all, because video is the thing that people are sharing more than anything. It is the thing that's going to get you the best social media engagement rate. So you have to create video. And when you create video, communicate effectively. I'm Bahamian. I have an accent. And quite frankly, I never imagined that I could stand on the stage and speak to you. Because I thought my accent was something that would hold me back. But then if you ever had an accent or something that made you different, and made you feel like you couldn't do it. So to all my brothers and sisters from around the world, whether it's an accent or something about you that looks specifically different, rather address a feeling on the inside, welcome home. In this space, we can thrive and be ourselves. When you do speak, no matter how you say it, remember to stand erect or sit erect so that your voice can pronounce at all levels as you do those things called vocal variety. Remember to use and stretch your words and vowels so that people know that you're saying things like sound, R, yes, yes. And it helps you to communicate more effectively with others. Whenever you think about clear communication, think about a cell phone and the fact that you always want to be understood. The other thing my dad had in his little bag of things left over, once you've moved on from this life, was something very, very, very important. That was his glasses. It was how he could see. He didn't like to use them just like Lisa, but every now and then, he'd have to put them on to make sure that he could see what's happening. Similarly, you might get nervous whenever it's time to sit in front of the camera. You may wonder, I don't know what I'm looking at, so who am I supposed to talk to? That's when you remember that the world is waiting on your message. You take a look into the camera lens if you're recording a YouTube video or going live, and speak to someone who is your ideal client. Speak to the little girl that needed to hear your beautiful Lamania styles. Speak to the little boy that needed to hear it's okay to cry. Speak to whatever it is that you've been called to speak to. And if that's too hard, put a picture of a little baby there. Oh, anybody can talk to a little baby. Put a picture there and use it as the thing that drives you to want to engage with the camera. Oftentimes when I conduct interviews, I tell the interviewee to have a conversation with me. It's so much easier to talk when it's just two people, one-on-one, having an interaction. And I let the cameras pan around us so that the camera gets the angle, but I get the conversation. And so that's another tool that you can use whenever it is that you need to communicate effectively. The final thing my dad had in that little envelope that they gave me was his wallet. Oh, somebody say wallet.
Wallet.
How many parents in here? How many parents? Yes, yes. Parents, you all know how we feel about your wallet, right? As children, your wallet is very important to us. I love my dad's wallet to this day because in it, he had photos of my siblings and I as little babies. He kept a poem that made the local newspaper that I'd written in the second grade. And then he kept important things like, I guess, cards and credit cards. But the most important thing was us. And that wallet always reminds me that there are treasures on the inside of you. That there are stories on the inside of you. People who are connected to you on the inside of you. Legacy, descendants, ancestors, all inside of you. And so it is important that you open up that wallet, open up your heart, open up your space to get on camera and lead the story to those coming behind you while telling the story of those who come before you. You have something so valuable to say. And the biggest hindrance to getting on camera is the belief that it doesn't matter. I wonder what my dad thought about. If he ever thought that he would be gone from us, if he ever thought that his voice didn't or wasn't worth hearing, and that makes me sad, because he sacrificed his whole life, never having followed his dreams, to make sure that his children could come here and thrive. That's not a lesson I want you to take from my dad. I want you to do the exact opposite. I want you to believe in the power of your dream. Believe that it needs to be shared with the world, and to get in front of a camera and to be confident in doing so. Remember to watch your time. Remember that you need to be able to look good with a chain. Remember every time you see a cell phone, the importance of clear communication. Remember when you look at glasses that people are looking to you, and it's important that you communicate back to them effectively. And finally, remember that it is all on the inside of you. Y'all think that's something y'all can do?
Yeah.
Y'all think that's something y'all can do?
Yeah.
Okay. If you think that's something you can do, I just want you to do something for me. I want you to stand up. Take away everything from your hands. The other fear we have when we start to create these videos is that nobody will see them. Nobody will watch them. Nobody will share them. But can I tell you that's the beauty of this community? That we have each other to work with, to share things with, to thrive with. If you believe that, let me hear you say yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Come on, man, y'all vibration, y'all frequency, y'all better than Keisha Michelle. Y'all right on point. So let's see if y'all can really do something for me. I'm going to say video. And I want you to clap together in unison just one time. I'll do an example. I will say video. Okay, I think y'all got it. Go
said I wouldn't be up here had I not gone to the retreat, because she was one of those individuals where she went through Speaker's Mastermind, and I thought, because of her background in television and everywhere, she's just gonna go to the next Speaker's Mastermind, because a lot of people do Speaker's Mastermind, then they come back and do it again in a year, or they'll sign up and say, I'm gonna go out full court press, do the work, come back a year. And she sitting in the back row crying, and I was like, why was she crying? And it really was all the pain that came up of what she was pushing down around her father's transition. And I thought she was going to go to Speaker's Mastermind, and she said, I need breakthrough retreat. And then I'll come back to that. And I just love when people, they're clear. I keep talking about clarity. She was clear. So when I see her, I had no idea she was going to pick that story. Because she could pick a number of stories. She went into the cave and got the one that she was really battling with last year this time. Who was at her? Do you remember that? Is that unbelievable? Yeah. Janet, is that unbelievable? I'm so grateful someone can witness it with me. So I'm like, is she having that conversation? That's when she did the work. And she said, I can only talk about this because I worked on it. Same for God. My gosh. Come up here. Would you please give another round of applause to Dr.